What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday we had the Gamescom opening night showcase, and for the most part, it was a lot of games that we already know about, but we did get updates to different games, some fun little reveals here and there, and an extended look at Ratchet and Clank gameplay on the PlayStation 5. The gameplay we had already seen, just a bit more, and they even gave us an idea as to when the game could be coming out. It sounds like Sony is working to bolster that PlayStation 5 lineup alongside of Spider-Man. We'll go over that. And we get to also talk a bit about an accessory for the Switch that is available now that gives you the ability to charge your Joy-Con controllers wirelessly through the air. Oh, and it looks like a Halo veteran is returning to Microsoft to help get Halo Infinite done for 2021, which has me questioning the state that this game is actually in right now. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit the like button, helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit the red subscribe button down below. We're attempting to hit 500,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And we're going to start today with an announcement that was at Gamescom opening night, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle a bit. I thought it was pretty fun to see, and that is that Jurassic World Evolution will be heading to the Nintendo Switch on November 3rd. It is like the complete edition, so it'll have all the DLC and extra content added into that as well. Now, this is a game that, if I remember right, was announced at a Gamescom a couple of years ago, and it came out in 2018 on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the PC. And this is the game where you get to kind of manage a theme park full of dinosaurs. And it was, I guess you'd say, a sequel or based on an older game like this from back. I remember even playing it on the PC, but it also was on the original Xbox. It was a Jurassic Park game where you'd kind of manage your own park. It was fun. I mean, back then we, of course, had like Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff. And then this came out, we were managing dinosaurs. So I would take a look at it, see what you think. I am really curious how it will look on the smaller screen of the Switch, but I guess we had Roller Coaster Tycoon on the Switch, so it's been done, but we'll see if they maybe adapt any of the controls or do anything extra to help it out there. Pretty cool to see, though. That's coming out November 3rd. Also, we got to look at some new games for games with gold on the Xbox, and I have to say, it looks like Microsoft might be struggling to do games with gold and Game Pass at the same time. I mean, take a look at this lineup here. Well, we have The Division. That would be the first one. That is correct. It's not the second one. That's the first one. So that'd be all month, September 1st to the 30th. And then we have Unwritten Tales 2. That's the 16th to October 15th there. And then Da Blob 2. That is an Xbox 360 game, which is backwards compatible, of course, there. September 1st to the 15th. And then Armed and Dangerous. That's an original Xbox game, the 16th to the 30th. Not a great lineup there. I mean, like, The Division 2 was already really cheap. Same with The Division 1. They say it's like a $30 value. Yeah, I'm sure most places have it for like $5 or $6, like max, like used. You can walk into most GameStops or even Best Buys have them on their shelves now. Yeah, I think there's just an issue there with games with gold and Game Pass trying to exist simultaneously. Unless Microsoft is just like coasting right now to when the Series X launches and all of a sudden games with gold gets really, really good, I don't really know if like most of the stuff they're putting out there, I don't even think I'd spend time like claiming and downloading on my account right now. Also, let's take a quick look at an FCC filing that was sent over to me quite a bit yesterday, and it had to do with a new Switch system that appeared to be going through the filing process with the FCC to make some changes. Yeah, I saw this on WCCF Tech and a few other places picked it up as well, but you can see some of the images even from the filing, and this appears to be a change of SoC, change of memory, and CPU board is changed due to the above two components. This is listed with the FCC filing, and it is a Class 2 permissive change. The only issue here is this is for BKE HAT002, and that would be the designation that we would see with Nintendo Switch dev kits. So what I believe is happening here is they are taking the old Switch dev kit and moving it up to use Morrico, which would make sense. That way they just use one chip across all of the current Switch systems rather than produce like the older X1 for the current dev kits that are out there now. I mean, they just make sense. No, this does not appear to be any kind of evidence towards a Switch quote-unquote Pro. It's just them refreshing the dev kits, it seems. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start right away with the Gamescom opening night roundup. And I mean, I went into this with lower than low expectations, so I guess they were met. I didn't come out of this thinking it was like this massive big announcement. I think Jeff Keighley did what he could with what he had at current times. The coolest thing was that they used Unreal Engine apparently for like the stage background, and I mean it was fun to see it kind of move and change based on what was going on, and cool idea. Maybe they'll do something like that with the Video Game Awards coming up at the end of this year. As Jeff has said, this was kind of like a trial run for that when it comes up. But I wanted to go down some of the announcements here that took place. There were a lot of them, and some of them, to be honest, were kind of small. Some of them were a little weird because the overall cinematic or the video that they put in front of you did not really match the game at all. Really, like, it was a strange swerve at times for some of the stuff. But let's go over some of the announcements here, starting with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. It will have branching pathways and multiple endings. Unknown 9 Awakening was shown, and while I'm not really sure what this is exactly, it is going to be for next-gen platforms as revealed, and I don't know, it seemed like a girl who had some supernatural powers, and that was kind of it. They cut it from there, so we'll see where this goes exactly. Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods is coming out October 20th, and that is the DLC for Doom Eternal. They showed quite a bit of that, and yeah, it looks good. Looks like Doom Eternal. I wonder what happened to that Switch version, though. BioWare talked about Dragon Age, and mostly they just showed off concept art, which was kind of a shame because I thought we were gearing up for some kind of reveal of gameplay or something. No, this game is quite a ways off, it seems. One of the weirdest trailers that they had there was for Bridge Constructor: The Walking Dead, because you didn't think it was Bridge Constructor at all until they showed it on the computer screen, and everyone was like swerved big time with that one. They did show Little Nightmares 2 with a new trailer. It was pretty cool to see that. Fall Guys Season 2. This was exciting for a lot of people because Fall Guys is super hot right now. Has like new costumes and medieval themes. That's pretty cool. And then we have Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. That is the VR game coming to us from Respawn, I believe. And VR is still VR, but I do like the idea of Medal of Honor taking a shot at it because they talked about storming the beaches through VR and all this, and I think you could get a new experience out of this franchise that way. Turrican 30th Anniversary Edition was revealed from Factor 5. They have 4 different editions for this, by the way, which is a little surprising, but Turrican was still really cool to see there. And then the big one, the new Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart gameplay. Now, it was technically new because they showed like an extra, I don't know, minute of it, I guess. It wasn't like a ton of new gameplay footage, but it was uninterrupted, and we got to basically just go through the level and the gameplay, and at the end of that, they, of course, talked with the developers from Insomniac about Ratchet and Clank, and they started talking a little bit about when we get our hands on it. Now, this was a pretty funny exchange because it seemed like one didn't necessarily know what they could say about that, and they passed it over to the other developer, and then they mentioned that it is in the PlayStation 5 launch window. And here's the biggest thing about that. If it is launching alongside the PlayStation 5, which I kind of think it is, I mean, they basically said that here, I think. All right, launch window could be leading up through the holidays. So this could be a December release. Let's say if the PlayStation 5 is coming out mid-November, come out weeks after the PS5 and just make it in time for like the holiday cutoff. Sure. But Ratchet and Clank alongside of Spider-Man, maybe even Demon's Souls, that's a pretty solid lineup. There's a little bit of something for everyone there. Sure, Gran Turismo would not be there at that time then, but I still think Gran Turismo is being held for next year to go alongside showcasing the next PlayStation VR headset. So Ratchet and Clank, day one on the PS5, that'd be awesome. Like, I really like what they've shown here with Ratchet and Clank so far. I mean, this is the one game that, to me, definitely looks next generation. Like, they of course show off the SSD and what it can do, kind of go in between dimensions and quick load times and all this. So I'm on board with Ratchet and Clank, but we got to know when this PS5 is coming out. If they told us right then and there, oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank's coming out November 13th, we'd all kind of stop and say, is that when the PS5's coming out? But we're like 2 months out and we still don't know. And I wonder if it's strange for them too, because they kind of looked around and they were like, launch window? We'll go with that. Next up, let's talk about charging your Joy-Con controllers wirelessly through the air. Now, I will say, Joy-Con controllers for the most part, they last long enough for a lot of us when we sit down and we play. I mean, they get 15 to 20 hour battery lives. Usually the Switch, if you're playing portably, will die before your Joy-Con controllers will. And if they are running low, you usually just drop the whole Switch into your dock and walk away, and they're charged next time you come back. But I guess if you have several sets of Joy-Con controllers, you would probably benefit from something like an extra dock or the ability to charge wirelessly through a grip. By the way, why has Nintendo stopped making different colored Joy-Con controllers? Have you noticed that? They just stopped completely. They were selling like crazy, and then they just stopped doing it. I don't know. They were just making too much money, I guess, right? But let's go over here because you can see this from PowerCast. And what this is a way for you to charge your Joy-Con controllers wirelessly in front of this big blue power brick thing. It says when placed up to a foot from your power spot, the wireless charging grip automatically connects and starts charging. Bluetooth Low Energy enables intelligent wireless charging where power is only sent as needed. The grip requests power from the transmitter when its batteries are low and tells it to stop when charged. Okay, so first of all, that is really cool, right? You have this brick, you just drop your Joy-Cons in front of it, and they'll just start charging. Now, they say up to a foot, so you still have to put it very close to it. It's a fun idea and concept. In practice, it's probably not going to work as well. And I know what you're asking. I know you're wondering right now. You want to ask it. Yes, I ordered these, so we will take a look at them and pull them apart somewhat and see what's going on here. But I think it could be kind of fun just to try out and see what they are. It's $150 for the pair, though. It seems like the brick is the most expensive part at $100, which I guess would make this grip for your Joy-Cons $50, and that seems like a lot too, but hey, wirelessly charging your Joy-Con controllers, they come at a price. Next up, let's talk about a veteran who is returning to Microsoft to help finish Halo Infinite. Now, there's also another person coming in here on the project for Halo Infinite because remember, they are splitting it up. They have a multiplayer that's gonna be free to play, and then they also have a campaign that they wanna get to the finish line so that the game feels like it's worth buying at $60 on just its campaign. And trust me, there are a lot of people who buy Halo and don't even touch the campaign. Sean is one of them. But let's go over here to the Halo Waypoint posting that tells us about some of the new additions to the team. They say, as the team focuses on hitting our new launch window for the game, 2 Halo veterans have offered their helping hands. Pierre Hintz, the head of our publishing team for Master Chief Collection, will be joining the Halo Infinite team as a project lead for our free-to-play experience. And last but certainly not least, we're excited to announce that our old friend Joseph Staten will be returning home to Halo for a bit. After helping launch Tell Me Why this week, he'll be coming on board as project lead for campaign as we push towards our 2021 release. So bringing in Pierre Hintz from the Master Chief Collection for the free-to-play side of the multiplayer in Halo Infinite makes a lot of sense because he saw one of the worst launches ever with something like Master Chief Collection, and they fixed it. Like, Master Chief Collection is really good now, and there's a lot of things happening with the multiplayer. Even now, if you go and play it, there's constant updates and changes, and the flight testing is going really well on PC right now, and they got all that done very, very quickly. I mean, really, all the Halo games are rapidly being moved to PC, so obviously they're doing something right over there. Bring him in to help out with the multiplayer side. Sure, that makes sense to get that back on track here. And then the campaign side with Joseph Staten. Now, from what I remember, Joseph Staten worked on the original Halo games, Halo 1, 2, 3, the ones that Bungie did, that people really liked, and he was director of cinematics and a writer. Now, bring him in with campaign, to me, means that maybe they weren't hitting the right notes when it comes to the storytelling side with Chief. Really look what happened with Halo 5. Master Chief was just kind of left out of it, right? I don't get why that happened. No one really does. It was frustrating because when you play Halo, you want to play as Master Chief. Sure, there's ODST, I get that, but that was kind of like its own thing, and it was interesting, I guess. But like, when you play a numbered Halo game, you expect to be Master Chief and just roll around taking people out, right? That's the biggest thing there. So when 5 came out and that wasn't the case, it was really weird. So I like that Joseph Staten is coming in because he knows what the original Halos were like, right? He was there. He was working to tell a story back then with Halo 1, 2, and 3, bringing it all together. So Infinite's campaign, I'm hoping we'll just get that much better. It sounds like he's going to be there more of a advisory role to help out with this, and that's fine because I'm sure they already have a lot of their inner workings figured out, right? Kind of their chain of command, all this stuff, who's doing what. But if he can come in and offer some input that will make this game really feel more like the old school Halo games, because the gameplay appears to be there. Like, they seem to have recreated the original Halo games in gameplay form. They got to fix the visuals and maybe the storytelling. I don't know why else Joseph Staten would be there unless they didn't feel like it was up to the right standard. And I mean, they delayed it, so I guess this is one of the reasons why, to work more on that campaign. So here's hoping it's good. Halo Infinite needs to be good. And I think at this point, bringing Joseph Staten in tells me that the game is just not in a great state right now, and I do think this is a holiday 2021 game. I think we're going to be delayed out a year for Halo Infinite, but if it's going to be good, I can wait. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some comparisons for the Xbox Series X versus sizes of other systems, because it looks like a YouTube channel by the name of Maniac Gaming managed to get a hold of like one of those prototype Xbox Series X systems, the ones that are like on display, I guess, at different events. So they decided to take it and start putting it next to systems that I guess they had around the house. And there's some pretty cool comparisons here. I mean, you can look at it next to things like the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it becomes very obvious that the Series X probably wasn't designed to be on its side. It has like the circle disc shape at the bottom, I guess, to help balance it when it's standing up. They also showed off kind of the green venting at the top as well. But one thing's for certain, after going through several of these images, it is a thick system. Yes, the Xbox Series X is not going to fit into any small compartments in your entertainment center, and it's probably going to be standing up either next to your TV or next to your entertainment center. You might want to get like a little nightstand or something just to set it on, or a little shelf, because it's going to be taking up its own little area there. But the best comparison might be next to the GameCube, because as you can see here, it appears to be 3 GameCubes duct taped together. I'm not kidding. I thought it was 2. It's 3. Microsoft may have undersold this system. We may have underestimated it. There's no telling what the Series X is going to be able to do now. 8K ray tracing? I mean, that's a lot of GameCubes. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Nick saying, Spawnwave hypes up Nintendo Direct all month. Nintendo, hold my beer. First of all, I was the wet blanket earlier this week that was like, yeah, I don't know if I would get too excited. I would lower the expectations. I was that guy for like 3 days who was saying that, right? So I wasn't hyping people up for the Direct like that, right? Again, Nintendo's gonna announce some things, right? But this is where we get into a situation, and it is something to think about here, and I'm curious people's opinions on this. If you do have quote-unquote insiders, like Nate, for example, Direct Feed, mentioned a lot of things about the 28th being today, and it sounds like nothing will be happening today then. He had mentioned the exact date. And a lot of times, quote unquote, these insiders don't necessarily say the exact date unless it's like the day before, because things change quite frequently behind the scenes, because if it's not announced in the first place, an internal delay is not technically a delay for all of us, right? If the Direct has to be moved and they've already announced it, then it is a delay. But if they haven't announced it, technically it's not, right? So most of the times you'll have people say, oh, there's something happening in the next 2 weeks. Like, okay, so what's this week coming up? Let's say I told you guys, I was like, oh, look, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars is getting announced on September 3rd, Thursday, right? I'd be obviously boxed into a corner there because I just said the exact day, the title, all of this stuff, right? But if I'm like, oh, in like the next 2 weeks, Nintendo's gonna say something about the Mario 3D collection, yeah, a little bit more leeway there. Like if Nate had said, oh, yeah, something's gonna happen this week from Nintendo, he'd have been dead on. I'd be like, yep, he knew it. But yes, that's why you don't see a lot of insiders say too much, because even if they get it right, people just forget about it a week later and move on. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Gamescom opening night showcase. What'd you think of it? And do you think Sony is gonna have Ratchet and Clank launch alongside of the PS5? Because it seemed like the developers there kind of looked at each other and they were like, what are we supposed to say? I don't know, launch window? Let me know if you think that would be a good launch lineup. Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, and Demon's Souls. I think they're pretty solid for the PS5. Also, what do you think about wirelessly charging your Joy-Cons through the air for $150? You think it might be priced a bit high there? And then what about Halo Infinite? Because it sounds like they're just now bringing people in to help get it done. What kind of state do you think this game was in? Because I think that demo that they showed was kind of telling now looking back on it. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.